And the pastor says, well, I found a little bit of poop on the ground, a little bit of dog poop, and I put it in the cake mix and the cupcake mix, and I mixed it, and I went along with baking the cupcakes as usual.
The devil trembles when you walk in purpose.
Listen, what we listen to has a direct effect on every part of our life. What we listen to and when we listen to it matters. I wanted to share this story of a youth pastor who was taking his youth students to a retreat. And on the way to the retreat, they're on a bus. However many students there were, they wanted to listen to some music. And the pastor says, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's throw on some Christian music because they're part of a church and they're going to a church retreat. And so all the students say, no. We want to listen to what's hot right now. What's being played on the radio. And the pastor says, come on, guys, like we're at a church retreat. We're part of a church, and we need to worship, we need to honor God with what we listen to. And all the students say, listen, pastor, we understand, but we just want to listen to these couple songs. It's just a few of them. It's not that big of a deal. It's not going to affect us. And the pastor continues to try to fight them on it and say, guys, like, no, this is not a good idea. We're gonna listen to worship music, or at least Christian music, of whatever genre. And the kids continue to fight him and fight him and fight him. Eventually, the students win. And when the students are at the camp, and when the students arrive at the camp, the pastor, after a few days, makes them a snack. They eat dinner. They've been at the camp for a few days, and the pastor decides to make them some cupcakes. And as the students are then eating the cupcakes, they start to look at each other and say, does this taste funny to you? Does this have a weird taste, a weird aftertaste? And they start becoming suspicious. And then one by one, the students start asking the pastor, what did you put in this? What did you put in this mix? Why does it taste funny? It has a different taste from the other cupcakes you've made in the past. The same chocolate chip cupcakes now taste a little bit different. And the pastor says, I don't think so. They shouldn't. And they keep pressing him on it. Like, what? Why does this taste weird? This has a nasty aftertaste. They look the same, yet they taste different. And the pastor says, well, I changed a little something in the recipe. And they say, okay, well, what was that little something? And the pastor says, well, I found a little bit of poop on the ground, a little bit of dog poop, and I put it in the cake mix and the cupcake mix, and I mixed it, and I went along with baking the cupcakes as usual. And all the students react. They're like, why in the world would you put dog poop in the cupcake mix? That's nasty. And they all are going crazy. And the pastor says, hold on, like it's just a little bit. It's not going to affect the whole thing. It's just a little sprinkle of poop. And all the students are pissed off at the fact that he put poop in their cupcake mix. Okay, so obviously this is not a real story, but I remember it being told. I don't know where I heard it, but I remember it sticking with me. Because the pastor's point was this, and the point I'm trying to prove or trying to convey is this. Just because it's a little bit doesn't mean that it can't affect the entire thing. Just because you listen to a little bit of secular music, just because you listen to a little bit of gossip, just because you listen to a little bit of negative news, doesn't mean that it can't affect your whole day, affect your whole week, affect your way of thinking, period. Don't be deceived by just a little bit. The a little bit is a lie. I remember growing up, my dad used to tell me this exact thing: be mindful of what you're listening to. And as a typical teenager, I would tell him, it's not going to affect me. Like, I can listen to this stuff. I can listen to this secular music. I can listen to this rap. I can listen to this hip hop and R&B, rest in peace R&B, and not be affected by it. And looking back on it now, hindsight, right? I can look back at it now and say, yeah, I lied to myself. I was affected by it. I mean, we've heard of drinking and driving. Have you heard of Drake and driving? When you listen to certain music, it affects us. When we listen to it, affects us. It's just like it's a way of nourishing our ears, whether in a good way or bad way. Just like in the morning when we nourish our body with the food that we eat to prepare us for the rest of the day, to have energy, to have nutrition, to not be sluggish, we have to eat the right thing. And in the same way, we have to be mindful of what we listen to and when we listen to it. So when we listen to music in the morning, start your day off with either the right thing or the wrong thing. We have to guard our ears, because that's how we set the mood, the theme for the rest of the day on how our day is going to be carried, how our interactions with people are going to go, how we're going to handle circumstances. The morning is a beautiful time to be able to listen to worship music and read your word and be in the presence of God. Why? Because we meet God before we meet our circumstances. We meet with God before the devil has a chance to meet with us. And we're giving God the first part of our day before we give anything else to anyone else. Give God your first. He wants to be first. And that includes on a daily basis. He wants to be the first part of your day. And I remember telling my dad, Dad, like, it's not going to affect me. I'm going to be fine. And eventually I would make my own CDs. I would put the CDs in the desktop or in the computer, go to LimeWire and download the music, write the songs that I downloaded on them. And then eventually I worked my way to an MP3 player, then to an iPod Touch, or iPod, I can't remember which one, but it was tiny. I couldn't even see the songs. I just had to know the order that they were playing in. And my sister would get a hold of it, who's 7 years younger. And that's when my dad really would get upset, because he would say, like, okay, not only are you not listening to the good stuff, but now your sister, who's 7 years younger, at that time, she was probably 7, 8 years old. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I don't care. I cared that she had my iPad. I mean, not my iPod, my MP3 player. But I didn't care what she was listening to, because I didn't care what I was listening to. I didn't care that it had an effect on her, because it didn't have an effect on me. And it was a lie that I was telling myself, and that I think a lot of young people need to hear the wisdom that comes from an older person, someone who's lived more life, because they have the life experience to know that what they thought at our age was a lie, and now they can see it with hindsight, and now they're trying to convey that same message to us and try to protect us with what we hear, with what we see, with what we do. But in our stubbornness, in the age of thinking that we know all, that we're all wise, it's I can sympathize with that generation. But when I became mindful of what I consumed, what I listened to, what I saw, how I spoke, I really started to notice a difference in my mindset, in my day to day, in how my day was set forth. And I love music. Music is always playing in our home. It's always playing in my car. I love music, and music there's beauty, but we just have to be mindful of what kind of music we listen to. And as Christians, it's it's hard to justify not listening to secular music because it is so catchy. It is so the music, the melodies, the beats, they're amazing. So it's like, that's half the battle of listening to those songs. And I pray that like more and more artists come out with honoring God in those genres. But there's plenty of genres out there now that have great Christian artists. And so listening to those songs, listening to those artists who have a message of honoring God, it may not be worship, but it still is honoring God or telling a story of their testimony. That's the kind of music we have to listen to. Listen to what this study says. There are studies that show that music can impact our long-term mood, increasing depression or anxiety. Certain songs, certain lyrics, certain genres of music are more likely to intensify depression or anxiety, sometimes as much as outside stressors or environmental factors. It actually doesn't matter. It actually does matter what you're listening to. It's important to be aware of both the type of music, the lyrics, and how they're impacting you. And we all have a playlist in our head. We all have this a song that we can go back to that brings it that we can listen to that brings us back to a certain to a certain memory. Songs have memory. We can think of a decade. I can listen to 2000s hip hop and it bring me back to my high school days. I can listen to certain love songs and be brought back to a certain girlfriend. I can listen to my wedding song with my wife and it bring me back to the day I did my first dance with her, to the song that she came down the aisle to, that if I listen to today will still choke me up. We can hear a song and think of a movie. We can think of a song and think of a place. We can hear a song and think of a specific moment. That's the power with what we listen to has. So don't let it affect us. It will affect us, but be careful of what we listen to so it doesn't affect us negatively. I was trying to find somewhere in the Bible that talked about the devil being the angel of music before he was cast down. And I couldn't find it, but where it does say in the Bible, when it does talk about music in the Bible, it's always in reference to praise and worship, to honoring God with psalms and hymns, to singing praise at the feet of the Father for all that he's done, all that he's doing. As my daughter has just woken up. But just because it doesn't say it doesn't mean that we can't see that the devil has his hands, his fingerprints all over the music and entertainment industry with the way they do performances, how satanic they are. With the lyrics, the devil doesn't even hide anymore. He's in plain sight. He's that I think it's Doja Cat that has that song that says "How My Demons Look," and then if you've seen the music video, like I'm sorry you saw it. I watched it just to get a glimpse of it, just to see how crazy, transparent this type of video and the devil is. That he's not hiding. But if we listen to a song like that first thing in the morning, guess how the rest of your day is going to go? You're going to be walking into every situation. You're going to be walking into every conversation with how my demons look, with that anger, that's not a peaceful song. You're not going to care what people are saying. Your boss can come up to you and say, "Hey man, like I saw that you didn't do this project, or you haven't completed this project, or you haven't handed this in, blah blah blah." And you're gonna say, yeah, I'll get it to you, man. And he's gonna walk away, but how my demons look. You can be driving past somebody in the car, driving fast. And you're gonna say, how my demons look, how my demons look. And that song is playing over and over and over in your mind. Don't lie to yourself. Don't act like if you don't listen to a song, it's not replaying in your mind all day long. I got a 2-year-old daughter, almost 2 years old. And when we're watching Bluey on Disney, and I watch it with her early in the morning, or even late at night, or it doesn't matter when, I'm playing that song, that theme song in my mind all day long. It's literally playing in my mind. Do 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 do. Mom. And that's playing over and over in my mind. So why would we not listen to something that's going to give us hope, give us peace, give us a calm spirit, a thankful spirit, and honoring God? Because that's how the rest of our day is going to go. The praise and worship, the seeking God in the morning, the getting the spiritual nourishment that our body needs, that our soul needs to align us with God. That's how the rest of our day goes. That's how the rest of our day is set forth. It's setting a spiritual position in us to be able to go out into the world with excellence. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to face circumstances that are difficult, frustrations, that we're not going to encounter people that frustrate us, that we're going to have people that we drive behind that are driving too slow and we want to act all crazy and curse them out. But take those situations that you're going to face on a daily basis and put 2 different scenarios. The first scenario is you're listening to How My Demons Look. And the second scenario is praise and worship. A peaceful song and then a demonic song. Or put whatever song you want into it, a rap song, whatever kind of music, a sad song. You're going to be taking everything you cross that day is going to be set forth with the way you've aligned your spirit with that morning. Psalms 95:1 says, "Come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us shout joyfully to the rock of our salvation. Let us come to him with thanksgiving. Let us sing psalms and praise to him." That's how we start our day. Worshiping God. That's how you should start your day. Do I do it every day? No. But I can tell you, when I don't, I'm affected. It's not just music, it's gossip, it's news. And we have to guard our ears. We have to pay close attention to what we're listening to, right? And Mark 4:24 says, "Pay close attention to what you hear. The closer you listen, the more understanding you will be given, and you will receive even more." And there's another verse that talks about how our eyes and our ears are the gateway to our hearts. And what is in our hearts eventually overflows. And Matthew 12:34 says, "For whatever is in your heart determines what you say." So we have to listen to what we hear. We have to pay attention to what we hear. Pay attention to what we listen to. So that whatever is going into our heart is from God, is honoring God. In the conversations we have, in the music we listen to, in the TV programs that we watch. I know it's difficult because there's so much distractions and there's so much negativity that doesn't honor God. But be mindful of how much you consume and when you consume it. And if you're consuming too much, take a fast from it. Take a break from it. Because eventually what is in your heart, the Bible says, is going to outflow from your mouth. And if it's negative coming in, best believe it's negativity that's going to be coming out. If it's praise and worship that's going in, it's going to be praise and worship that is coming out. And that doesn't mean that it's going to look like you singing hallelujah to people who you walk by. No, that means that it's going to be the fruits of the Spirit that are going to be outflowing from your mouth. Love, just loving people, caring for people, honoring people. And as my daughter is crying, I want to wrap this up. And I want to challenge you. If you don't think that the music affects you, try it out for a day. Try it out just in the morning. Give yourself an experiment. Do an experiment with yourself. Take the music you listen to and remove it from your library. And subject yourself to only listen to positive, either podcasts, positive news, positive music, praise and worship music. Start your day off that way. Start off with a day. Do it for a week. Do it for a month. And if you feel like it hasn't affected you in the positive way, revert back. Try it again, doing it your way, and see if then you can do an analysis of the pros and cons of the differences that you saw that went about your day, how you went about your day. Try it out. You have nothing to lose. It's you. Don't lie to yourself. And in the description below, I'm gonna leave a playlist of artists and songs that I like to listen to start my day, when I'm in prayer, when I'm reading the Word, when I'm going about the day, when I'm working out. Just give you a starting point if you don't have one, and just recommend songs that I listen to that I think are amazing. I listen to, I feel like, all genres, from country to rap to jazz. So I'll leave all the songs that I like to listen to and a couple of the artists that I like to listen to too. But listen, you were made and called to do so much more. And God wants you to live a life on purpose, for purpose. And if you got any value out of this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because if you want to by sharing what God is doing in your life, you have the ability to impact them and see what God can do in the lives of the ones you love. All right? God loves you. I'm out.